When you compromise and you fail, it really hurts. It hurts even more than failing at what you love.
$20 years ago today is when Apple Computers unveiled the first iMac.
This is iMac.
I saw that on Twitter, and I got super nostalgic because it made me think of when I got this. This is my iMac, and this was the machine, the first ever, that I edited video on. It got me thinking, and it got me nostalgic, and it got me a little sad because I was thinking back to what my life was like then. What my life was like at the exact moment when I realized my dream, my ambition to one day become a filmmaker, where I was then, where I wanted to be, and everything that stood in between me and achieving my dreams. It got me thinking about those obstructions, the things you have to overcome to accomplish your aspirations in life. So today's episode in its entirety is going to be dedicated to one subject and one subject only, and that is the subject of excuses. Excuses are exactly like assholes. Everybody's got them, but nobody wants to hear about yours. This is you. And here are your dreams and aspirations and all that stuff. What stands between you and your dreams and aspirations are obstructions. What you have to overcome to achieve your dreams. When I think back about my own obstructions when I got that iMac, I think of the fact that I had dropped out of high school. I had no education to fall back on. I think about the fact that I knew nothing about the very thing that I was aspiring to pursue, my dream. I knew nothing about filmmaking. Those were some of the gigantic obstructions between me and any realization of my ambition. They were obstructions, but they weren't excuses.
Would you welcome Jim Carrey? Jim?
My name is Jim Carrey. I'd like to do some impressions for you tonight.
Jim Carrey, one of the greatest American comedians ever, one of my absolute idols. Jim Carrey's dad wanted to be a comedian.
My father was not only the funniest man in the room, and before I was born, he had an orchestra in Toronto. But, you know, in order to be something special, you had to leave Canada and come down to the States and prove yourself in the States. He was a little bit afraid of that transition, and also he had a family to take care of, so he became an accountant.
And ironically, ultimately, he was fired from his safe job, and him and his son, Jim Carrey, and the rest of their family, they were homeless.
And a lot of people don't know this, but when I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job, and I actually became homeless for quite some time.
Jim Carrey, the movie star, his obstructions were those things, like being dirt poor, his dad not having a job, the fact that Jim Carrey had to drop out of school when he was 15 to work as a janitor, the fact that Jim Carrey was homeless with his family living out of a car. Those were Jim Carrey's obstructions, but they weren't his excuses. Excuses are the obstructions that become the reasons for you abandoning your dreams. Despite those obstructions, he still overcame all of them to chase down his dream and become one of the most successful comedians in the history of comedy. Each obstruction that is not overcome becomes an excuse. And these excuses ultimately take the place of your dreams. And then all that's left are you and your excuses. So today on the show, I want to introduce you to somebody who I'm a huge fan of, somebody who I draw tremendous amounts of inspiration from, somebody who had greater obstructions than I could ever imagine. Obstructions that make you know, being broke or not having education seem meaningless. Someone who's really chased down all of his dreams. Let me list some of his accolades. He's a best-selling author. He had his own TV show that I think he wrote and directed. He's friends with huge Hollywood movie stars like Russell Crowe and, you know, big movie stars. You know, he's been on the red carpet of the Oscars.
The most famous red carpet in the world.
When he was a kid, he wanted to be an action movie star, and he had a major role in one of the greatest action movies ever made. An action movie that won 6 Academy Awards, a movie that made $378 million in the box office. He is, by all means, someone who had a bunch of dreams, had a lot of obstructions, and I've never, ever, ever heard make an excuse. There he is! It's good to see you, Quentin.
Good to see you, buddy.
It's been a while. What time is it there?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. All right, I like that you're up early.
This may well be the most fragile boy in the world. He was born with broken bones, and they haven't stopped breaking.
Quentin, I'm telling the story of what it means to overcome obstructions in life to pursue a dream.
Yeah? What do you want to know?
Tell me your life story.
This young man is trying to do what the doctors deemed impossible.
Okay, I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bone disease, which means my bones break more easily than you or someone else you know. And the doctors said that I wouldn't survive a day, let alone however old I am now.
The one and only Quentin Kenihan.
How did you get a part in Mad Max?
I auditioned. I auditioned like everyone else.
One of Australia's favourite characters, who is a filmmaker, producer and disability advocate, now has something else occupying his time. Quentin Kenihan has landed a role in a big-budget Hollywood movie.
And then I got this call from my manager saying, Matt, George Miller wants to talk to you.
Why would you do that? Let me see.
Richard.
I want to see.
Richard, go see what's agitating Dad.
What are some of the other accolades of your career that you're particularly proud of for the audience to learn about?
Ray said that I am the only disabled person ever in an Academy Award-winning film. I love that.
Is that right?
Title. Yeah.
The Oscar goes to Mad Max Fury Road, Colin Gibson.
I have the Commonwealth Medal of Federation from the Queen. I like that.
That's really awesome.
But these are just things.
These are just things. I agree.
The things that I love is that I'm friends with you. That I've got good friends and a good support network in my family around me. They're the things that I hold dear to me.
Mm-hmm. Your obstructions are a lot of them have to do with your physical state. But you chose not to let your obstructions become excuses. And that is true. And you still achieved your dreams despite all of these obstructions, and you're still a man with no excuses. So I guess I would ask, what advice would you have for, well, certainly for me, because I'll take it, but maybe for my audience about overcoming obstructions in pursuit of your own dreams?
Really, when you get to a hospital,
okay,
you really have to bring it down to two things. You're either going to live or you're either going to die. And I decided very early on that, can I swear?
Sure, Quentin.
You'll bleep it out. I decided that if I'm going to live, fuck it, let's live. And if I'm going to die, fuck it, bring it on, die.
Quentin's an amazing guy, but there was one thing that he said that really, it was when he said he got the brass ring in life.
I know that I grabbed the brass ring in life because there are many others like me that don't have what I have.
As in, he got lucky and won at life. The guy facing the hardships that he has to face, dealing with the, I mean, just his, you know, his own physical disability, for someone to maintain that positive a perspective on life, I think that kind of positivity is probably the most important thing when it comes to making sure your obstructions don't become your excuses. Okay, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow on 368.